And let's go ahead and just start right where we were at. I believe the
Okay.
correct way to prep and show homes to buyers.
So now we got our buyer, we got them set, we did the interview, we know what to do, we know how to work with them. They're gonna work with us, they wanna hire us, whatever we're gonna call it. And then we're gonna go out and show them and get them set up. So once you get ready to do that, when you send your buyers choices, you send them 15 to 20 homes in the area they wanna look at. Don't be an agent that sends them 50 to 60. Because if you send them 50 to 60, they wanna look at 50 to 60. But if you send them 10 or 15, yeah, it's true, it's crazy, but that's how they are. But if you send them 15 to 20, you let them check it out, okay? And then you tell them, give me your top 6. Always take 6 or 7 max. I only want to show 4 or 5 a day, but I take 6 or 7.
I was gonna say, what's the psychology behind number 6?
So people like the number 7 and 9 are the 2 numbers. That's people's favorite number. So anytime you see advertising, it always ends in a 7 or 9. That's why those are numbers people are attracted to for some reason. Now, if I tell them 6 to 7 people, I tell them, get your homes, send them to me, and I make sure they're not under contract, that they take their type of loan, all that stuff. Hopefully they already know that when I send it to them. And then I tell them, you have homework to do. You need to go in your car and drive the neighborhood and drive by the home. If you're worried, go at night. If you go in the morning, go school district. Whatever you want to do, they have homework they have to do. And I tell them, do this the day before we show the homes. And by doing that, I usually lose 1 or 2 homes. And then I usually end up, and then I have my 5 that I like to show, 4 to 5. If you show more than 5, people forget what they see, and they don't have any way to think back of what they're doing, and they can't keep track of it, and they'll lose what the number 1 would look like. So that's the psychology behind it. If you do more than 5, you're wasting your time. Even if they want to see 10, do 5 one day, do 5 the next day. They're just wasting your time doing 10 in a day. They're not going to remember. Okay. And then they're going to walk through and check it out. Now, let them know that this also is a good way. It's got called like a pulse check. So if your clients are like, oh, and you drive up the next day and they step out of their car and they're like, oh no, this home is terrible in the front. There's no way we're living here. I'm like, you should have shown that yesterday when you drove around. Now I know that they didn't. So now I'm like, okay, so this client doesn't want to listen. So now I know that this guy have to be a little more careful when I give them instructions, because most of the time they're not going to follow them because they just prove they can't. So that gives you kind of a pulse check again to let you know what's going on, if they're going to listen to you or not. Because remember, you're the professional. You are the business owner. You're the business manager, whatever you want to call yourself. You're the realtor. I don't even call myself a realtor. I just call them because I am the owner of the company. Let's go. And then I'm the broker. If they're not willing to listen to you as a professional, then you're going to have a hard time. Okay, so now you know their homes, you know what they want to look at, and then you want to prep the people yourself and the agents before you go out there. So you want to do what's called a quick print of the MLS. You can go to your MLS, pull up the home. There's a button that prints off a 1 sheet quick print of it. And then you make sure you have a clipboard with you, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And then you have pens for everybody and extra paper to take notes. If they have any kids, or if you're having a long day showing, like a long drive between homes, it might be a country, and you're going to be out there for a long time, bring snacks for everybody, especially in Texas, it gets hot. So bring a little mini cooler with some ice and some cold drinks, some water, maybe a couple different types of sodas, and give that to your client and say, here, this is for you as we travel. So you can have something to keep cool, to drink. This will make, if they have kids, this is the biggest thing you can do for them. It will make them think that you're taking care of their family, which you are, but it builds that relationship and it connects emotionally, especially with the wives. This will connect you on that level that you're taking care of their children. Okay, so you do that on purpose. That's the reason, because the wife is usually the decision maker of if they buy or don't buy the home. So by doing that, now they're on your side when you bring a snack like that. So it's a very simple way to get in touch with them psychologically and emotionally without having to go and do anything crazy. Now you have that set to go. So now when they find the home, the husband's like, I don't know. The wife's like, yeah, babe, this is it. Let's do it. They're going to be
All of a
much more
sudden,
willing.
that's the home they bought.
Yep, they select it, and that's the home they want. And that's,
Do you
I mean,
have
I
a
want to
preference or an opinion on having the clients drive with you, assuming it's only 2 or 3, or have them drive in their own car? Do you have a
I
preference?
never do it if I can help it. The main reason, of course,
Okay.
COVID is over now. So that was during COVID, but I never do it if I can help it, because if somebody hits you or someone gets hurt, you're now operating a vehicle that's considered a commercial vehicle.
Very good point.
Yep.
Very
And they
good
will
point.
sue the hell out of you.
Thanks for sharing. Good point.
Yep. So be real careful about that. Now, have I driven people? I have. I've driven, I
Hmm.
had one old lady client that was like 85 and she couldn't drive. So then, if we get in an accident, she's probably gonna die anyway, because she's so, I mean, it's sad, but I took her everywhere because she had no one to drive her and she could not drive.
Got it.
And I had another client that didn't have a car. So I just, I'm not gonna lose a
Yeah.
home over that. I picked her up and drove her around, took her to closing, everything. And then when she got her
Yeah,
house, she
these
got,
are just preferences. Yeah,
yep,
good
it's
point.
preference.
Very good point.
Just be careful. Yep. Use common sense. A lot of, I always say common sense isn't common, so try to make it common. So what you're gonna do with that, and then you're gonna be out showing the homes, you're gonna have all that documents ready. You're gonna make it a game kind of, so it's kind of fun for everybody when you're showing the home. You're gonna tell them as you drive up to the first home, you're gonna say, okay, every home we see, you're gonna give me a number 1 to 10 and list your home. And then I always joke and say, and then I say like the wife, if you give me an 11 and he gives me a 5, we're gonna be in the middle at 6, whatever. And then, because that's how it is, the wife will come in, this is it, this is my number 12. And then he's like, this is a 2. And then I'm like, okay, whatever. And then we'll meet around 8. So I would say, if you do it and we get a 9 or higher, we're done. We're gonna just stop. We're gonna go right up the contract and we're done. So I said, don't give me everything at an 8.5 and higher. You have to be picky. And they'd be like, okay, cool. Because then if they walk in and they're both like, Andrew, this is a 10, I'm done. I'm like, great, let's stop. Let's go right up the contract right now. And then I go to my car, get my computer, boom, we can do it right there in the house. Because I have a hot spot,
Perfect.
why not? And you can just knock it, they love it. And then they'll be in the house feeling that connection as you do the contract and send it in. And it's super quick and easy. Now, what you're looking for, it sounds silly, but I call it the HDTV moment. When someone comes in the home and they go, ooh, or they go, oh, and they make that funny little noise. And that's what you're looking for. And when that happens, they just bought the house. They don't realize it yet sometimes, but they just picked the house that they love. So you'll always know when that happens. A lot of times you'll hear it more from the wife than the husband, if it's a more traditional clients, and they'll come in and be like, oh yeah. I mean, one time we did it and the wife came in, that a big staircase going down. She's like, oh, and I was like, oh, there it is. And she said, I could see my daughter walking down the stairs here in her wedding dress. And I was like, oh yeah. And the husband was like, ah, shoot, we just bought this house. He read the writing on the wall. He knew. Yeah. And again, it was super sweet. I had kids too, and I was like, that's beautiful. Yeah. Because you could see that. So always do that. And then as you show, say the first home is a 6, the next home is a 7. What you do with your clipboard is you take the home that's less, you fold it in half, and you slide it behind the other homes. And then they always look at you. And when they look at you and they're talking to you, they always see their favorite home on the top. And you always kind of hold the clipboard in front of you so they can see that. And then what you're doing with the other notes and the other pages, your pens, is you give them each, I bring extra clipboards for my clients, and you give them a notepad with pen and say, go ahead and take notes of what you like and dislike in every home. So they're really involved. They're taking notes. You like, yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then when you're done, if they're like, I can't decide from, this home or this home, I'm like, let's see what you like. And then we pull out their sheets, they look at them, and then boom, they easily make a decision without us having to go back to the home and tour them all over again. It saves you a lot of time as an agent to do that little prep work. Okay. And then once you're done showing, you write the offer, of course. And then if all the homes are a 4, which happens sometimes, you never know what's going to happen. If all the homes come out as like a 4 or a 5, and they're like, we're not buying any of these homes, then I did my work in the beginning wrong, or they lied to me and they didn't tell me what they really like.
Probably the latter.
Probably latter. I mean, you never know. I might not have listened correctly or something. So that was that was a waste of a day. Then I'm
But
gonna
the
have to
bottom
say,
line,
okay,
there was a disconnect.
there was a
bottom line.
disconnect. So just think about that. Somewhere you disconnected. And if it happens more than once, then you need to talk to a mentor and see, where am I losing my disconnect with my clients? Because you wasted a day. You should be able to show a client because if you've done all the homework and done everything up to this point and you have them approved, you know what they're looking for, you have their budget. At that point, when you show 5 homes, they should be able to pick one and you put them in a home. You're done. It should be that easy. Okay. That's why you do it. That one day of showing should be all you need.